This photo doesn't seem too bad. Just a woman ready for her date. What could possibly go wrong? Unfortunately, this date took a tragic turn. On the 15th of November, 2017, Sydney Loof had just finished work at a local store and was on her way to meet her Tinder date. On the 14th of November, Sydney had agreed to go on a first date with Bailey Boswell, who had used a fake name, Audrey. Bailey Boswell lived with her boyfriend Aubrey Trail in an apartment. They had their first date in a basement that Bailey and Aubrey had been renting out. On the 15th of November, they had their second date. The photo shows Sydney ready for her date. This was taken before she left her home. Her phone then shut off at 8:32 p.m. Sydney did not show up for work on the 16th of November, nor did she call in sick. Her mom texted her, but she had no reply. She then reported her as missing. For weeks, there was no sign of her whereabouts. She never returned to her apartment, and her cat was left unfed. The police had managed to find out her last phone ping, and that was at the apartments. This information was crucial and helped with this investigation. The police went to the apartment and had no reply. They used the landlord's key and entered the property. The police and the owner of the apartment had noticed a strong smell of bleach. The police came back with a search warrant the next day, but everything appeared normal. Nothing looked odd, and the basement was the same as the previous day. Sydney Loofs was found on the 4th of December, 2017. She was found along a gravel road in southeastern Nebraska. There was a trash bag with body parts and other disturbing items inside the bag. Sydney was killed by being strangled, and then her body was dismembered. Both Bailey and Aubrey were arrested for murdering Sydney. They denied it at first and changed their stories, but eventually Aubrey admitted the killing, but Bailey was still denying it. There were receipts from a store proving that they had brought trash bags, bleach, and more things. In 2019, Aubrey was found guilty of first-degree murder, and he was sentenced to death in 2021. Bailey was also found guilty of first-degree murder on October 2020. She was sentenced to life in prison. This is a reminder to just be safe and careful when meeting strangers from online. This may look like an ordinary photo, but it's not. The man on the right is Andrei Karlov, a Russian ambassador for Turkey. The man standing behind him is a Turkish police officer for Ankara riot police, named Mevlut Mert Altuntaş. It was the evening of December 19, 2016, and Andrei Karlov was invited to give a speech at an exhibition called Russia as Seen by Turks. Mevlut Altuntaş made people believe he was one of Andrei's bodyguards because he had entered by using his police identification. Andrei started his speech, and Mevlut Altuntaş started shooting at him from behind several times. He used a Konik 55 TP9 compact 9mm pistol. His wounds were fatal, and Mevlut Altuntaş had also seriously injured several other people. After he shot Andrei Karlov, he started smashing photos on the walls and started shouting in Turkish and Arabic. Andrei was rushed to hospital where he died from his injuries. Kelsey Webster, Essa Ricker, and Savannah Webster, ages 15 and 13 respectively, were enjoying a day out when tragedy struck. On October 15, 2011, near Spanish Fork Canyon in Utah, the three girls were on a railway track, capturing photographs. Two trains were approaching from different directions simultaneously, unbeknownst to the girls as they were taking photos. Savannah even posted one of the photos on Facebook, captioned, "Standing right behind a train, Ha ha ha, this is awesome. The image shows the train's lights in the top right corner. Traveling at 39 miles per hour, the train was approaching. Despite the efforts of train conductor John Anderson and engineer Michael Anderson, who sounded the horn and yelled warnings, the girls were unable to react in time. When the train finally came to a stop, John Anderson rushed back to the scene. Tragically, one girl had no pulse, and another had already passed away. Savannah was critically injured, and despite medical efforts, she passed away from her injuries 2 days later. This devastating incident profoundly impacted the community, serving as a reminder of the hazards associated with taking photos on active train tracks. Let us all take heed of this heartbreaking reminder and exercise caution and awareness around railway lines. Here's a seemingly ordinary family photo, but behind their smiles lies a chilling story of betrayal and tragedy. This image captures John List and his family. The man on the left is John List. On November 9th, 1971, he committed one of the most shocking family murders in American history, taking the lives of his mother, wife, and 3 children. John List had a successful career as an accountant, but was fired due to conflicts with colleagues and poor job performance. Struggling to find work afterward, he sank into debt, exacerbated by the upkeep of his large home in Westfield, New Jersey. Feeling isolated and ashamed of his financial failures, List isolated himself from his family and friends. He feared that his troubles would destroy their reputation, leading him to believe that killing them was the only way to protect their honor. Planning meticulously, List researched firearms and purchased a pistol. On November 9th, 1971, he fatally shot his wife, Helen List, in the kitchen, followed by his mother, Alma List, upstairs. His daughter, Patricia List, homesick from school, was next. When his 2 sons, John List Jr. and Frederick List, returned from school, he also took their lives. List then placed their bodies in sleeping bags and left them in the ballroom of their home. The bodies were discovered a month later, on December 7, 1971, after concerned neighbors contacted the police. After committing the murders, List fled, assuming a new identity and living under the radar for 18 years in various states. In 1989, a segment of America's Most Wanted led to his capture. Convicted of 5 counts of first-degree murder in 1990, List was sentenced to life. He died in prison on March 21, 2008. In August 2015, 18-year-old Jolie Callan embarked on a hiking trip in Alabama with her ex-boyfriend Lauren Bunner, a journey that would tragically end in her untimely death. The pair ventured onto the Pinhoti Trail, a picturesque setting that Bunner seemingly used as a backdrop for a chilling act of violence. During the hike, Bunner took several photos, capturing moments that would later serve as eerie clues to the horrific events unfolding. Among these photos were shots of Jolie with her beloved dog in a seemingly carefree pose overlooking a cliff, with captions, "On our way to go hiking," and "Oh, just enjoying the view." After reaching a secluded spot at the top of a cliff, Bunner shot Jolie twice, first in the back of her head and then between her eyes, before carelessly pushing her lifeless body over the edge. This act of brutal betrayal was compounded by the fact that just the night before, Jolie had expressed concerns to friends, jokingly stating, "If something happens to me, you'll know who I was with." Following the murder, Bunner shockingly called the police himself to report the crime, initially claiming they had planned to commit suicide together and that he had backed out at the last minute. Initially pleading not guilty, now Bunner, age 22, eventually confessed to the murder in July. Bunner was ultimately sentenced to 52 years in prison for the murder of Jolie Callan. His admission brought to light disturbing revelations from fellow inmates. The court had heard that Bunner had expressed what could have been the chilling motive. If he couldn't have her, no one else would. Jolie's story is a reminder to cherish and protect the lives of those we love, and to recognize the signs of danger in relationships before it's too late.